When we believe enlightenment to be a future event, then we are tricked by our conditioned psyche. Talking from experience here. Having lived through this pitfall myself, this belief can be quite subtle, running in the backwaters of the mind. And it's a fantasy. This belief is a fantasy of the psyche. And by believing it, it keeps us, that what we truly are, within its domain. And of course, it's not doing that on purpose. It's just what it does because of its nature. The conditioned mind can only live in the past or the future, and is always on the move between those two, always moving to keep the experience of being a separate self going. And the way it thinks, its dynamic is that since enlightenment is not experienced in this moment, then it must be somewhere in the future. This belief that enlightenment is to be found in the future can also be supported by several other ideas that we consciously or unconsciously believe. This way, keeping ourselves away from experiencing our true nature. So let's discuss some of them here, and so maybe it saves you a detour by becoming aware of them. Let's start with the core idea itself, that enlightenment must be somewhere in the future. This cannot be because the future only exists in the mind. Great for planning and organizing, but besides that, it holds no reality. Because the future becomes only real when it becomes the now. Nobody has ever been in the future, and also not in the past for that matter. And so we can only go there by thinking about it. However, while thinking about it, we are still in the present moment. And thinking it happens within the domain of the conditioned psyche. So here we are again in its domain. And this way the belief of future enlightenment becomes an obstacle. A fantasy about the future that keeps us from experiencing what is already right here now. Therefore, become intimately present in the now. It's the only moment where reality, and so also the reality of who you truly are, can be recognized and experienced. So another belief, a belief that supports this, let's say, core belief, is that enlightenment is an event that happens to you. And this is in no way possible, since enlightenment is always and everywhere the case. It's not an experience. It's what you are, also when it's not experienced. It's the fundament of life, and so it's also the fundament of you. However, what good is it when not experienced and lived? So, as long as we are entangled in ideas that are not of truth, we cannot experience what is truly true. And so we cannot experience our enlightened nature. That's just how it works, I'm afraid. However, to the me mind, everything that is not the case now can be the case tomorrow. And that sounds, of course, reasonable. And so it bypasses the idea that it is already the case. And so this belief takes you, consciousness, on a trip to the future by projecting and by waiting and overlooking what's already the case here, right now. And that is understandable because maybe we have heard stories about so-called enlightened people, and they reported from a period in their lives where they were on the journey as well, and not yet as clear as they are now. And they might talk about their great moments of clear seeing, which to the mind, the me mind, sounds, and it translates it like that, like an event that happened to them. But what truly happened was a clear seeing by absence of the me mind, by absence of what is not true, by the falling away of identification with this future event that will happen to me way of thinking, and by no longer feeding this belief by believing it, by being clear that these beliefs are the walls keeping us from experiencing what we are. Another belief that supports this core belief is I will become enlightened. So, to the future longing, one might have attached the idea that one will be enlightened, that I will be enlightened. And maybe this belief is not there so obvious as expressed right now here, because maybe you're quite advanced and know that there is nobody to experience enlightenment. However, better to check this one as well for a moment. Knowing this does not mean that believing you will attain enlightenment is not unconsciously there at all. And just like the other beliefs, this can be quite subtle. Not easy to find when covered by all the right spiritual concepts that we took in. The idea of I will be enlightened is a way of enlightenment being claimed by an I that does not exist, and it can never experience it. The whole idea of a separate I is what is in the way of experiencing our enlightened nature. Because it's not you as a separate I that is becoming enlightened, but enlightenment itself, being enlightened from the idea and experience of being an I. It's actually enlightenment being enlightened from the idea to not be enlightened. And what turns out to be the case then is that everything and everyone already was enlightened the whole time. So for enlightenment itself, it does not matter if we experience this or not. Enlightenment does not know enlightenment, one could say. And maybe this metaphor helps with understanding that. So you're looking for the bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow. And then when you see the bucket of gold and you reach for the bucket and touch the gold, there is this immediate seeing that the whole world was made of gold already. So actually enlightenment only is a thing from the viewpoint of the separate self, the ego. We're not yet experiencing it. And once we are on the other side, so to speak, the whole enlightenment big thing collapses. That is why it also can be a very freeing disappointment. Disappointing to the mind because it cannot get anything out of it. There's nothing in it for the mind. Because what's the worth of gold when the whole world turns out to have been of gold all along? It's quite funny, very sober and very real. ordinary, extraordinary, actually. Very beautiful. Okay, then last but certainly not least, because this is quite, I feel, a universal belief, that is that to live enlightenment, something about the way I am needs to change, which is not true. It's not true that enlightenment can only be experienced when we have become a certain way. Let's say more spiritual or more pure, more friendly, more whatever, or less. Nothing about the way we are needs to change to experience our true nature. It's not that we have to stop making silly remarks or doing crazy stuff. As a human being, one can be a mess, just like anybody else, just like me. Pleased to meet you. What it is about is to be completely okay with who we are. And it's a deep acceptance and respect for your own way of being, to be completely okay with being a mess. Because often being a mess is just a judgment of your own mind, comparing yourself with what it thinks one should be like. And so this is the next belief. And so it's the next fantasy of the conditioned psyche. Let the spiritual beliefs be, because you are exactly what you need to be, how life has meant you to be, in all your beauty and craziness. Now, do not let this become an excuse to hide behind by thinking, okay, nothing about me matters anymore. I can do whatever the heck I like. You feel the energy of it? It's much more sincere and deeper than that, this being okay with who you are, that we talk about here. It's quite impersonal, from a deep felt embrace of the unique way that you originally are, no longer measured against the standards of society that nobody fits in anyway, also not against the spiritual ideas of who one should be like, for that matter, and to take it from there. And of course, there will always be a deeper falling into your being and a polishing and cultivating of your humanhood in speech and actions. But you, that what you truly are, is deeply okay with who you are as a human being, the way you are now. So maybe that helps to relax a bit within yourself, because you are an original, you know. There's nobody like you. And after you, there will not come anybody like you. So enjoy that. Okay, these were the beliefs I like to put attention to. And maybe even more important is to realize that this is it, this moment. And you are that. And it's never going to be more, and it's never going to be better than this. Okay, I like to leave you with that, and thank you for listening.